Taimoor Husain, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks, Patrick. So could we close that door, if possible? This is really interesting for me. I was forced to reflect today upon how close-knit this industry is. I always come back here and I love meeting everybody. Michael and Sonu were at Microsoft. I was previously at Cisco. And so it's really, really interesting. And actually, listening to Jamie speak, I also realized a couple of other things. How much our stories are sort of coming together in terms of what we talk about. And you'll see that as part of this. So it was really interesting for me to reflect upon that, and I'll share a little bit more. I had a marketing moment 2 or 3 weeks ago, which is rare for me. And I titled our session this way, and I'll talk to you a little bit about why I said it. I get mixed reactions on this. I get some eye rolls, and I get some profound light bulb moments when I say the future is calling. So I hope to guide you through what that looks like. We talk about an AI-powered workplace. And this is actually something that we are messaging across a bunch of different estates. I know that you all are pretty familiar with Teams. There are things that surround Teams that I'll talk a little bit about that are completing our vision for what an AI-powered workplace looks like. There are assets in M365 that we'll briefly touch upon. There are things like Microsoft Places. There are things like AI-assisted collaboration that I'm going to talk a little bit about, which are sort of completing our vision. But this is where we're headed. This is where we're going. An AI-powered workplace for all of you to think about, and Teams is at the center of it. Teams is our platform for communications and collaboration. We aim for it to be secure because it runs on our M365 cloud. We aim for it to be simple, to be able to bring all of those workloads to life in a way that's meaningful to you on the devices you choose and where you choose to work. And of course, we want to make it smart, leveraging AI, leveraging Copilot, leveraging all of the capabilities that we've built into it. We are just on the heels of Ignite, which happened in San Francisco about 2 weeks ago. This is our big Microsoft Big Conference. We introduce a lot of capabilities there that stretch across Azure and M365 and Dynamics, all of our 3 clouds and all of the capabilities underneath it. If you're ever interested in anything Microsoft, you can go to Ignite, you can stream the sessions. And so in that spirit, we also introduced a bunch of things in capabilities in Teams. I'm not going to spend time here talking about a lot of those capabilities in Teams. I think it's great to be able to cover it, but I will not be able to do justice to all of the things that are new since we last spoke. So I encourage you to go to our Ignite site, take a look at some of the sessions, take a look at where we're going directionally. There's a blog that we write, What's New in Teams, that you can read about and all of the capabilities that we introduced. In our communities, we do a What's New in Teams monthly update. And actually, the person who does that is Martin. Martin, can you stand up for me, please? Martin's right there. Please go find him. He's a great, great advocate of our community and to provide updates on what's happening in Teams. So we're not going to talk a lot about products. However, since I had Martin stand up, and since he did take a train in from Manchester, and he's been giving me grief about it, I'm going to introduce one feature to you that I really love, and that Martin really loves. It's called our audio recap in Teams. And what we do here is, me and Martin, we're in a lot of meetings together, and so we take all of our, we take some meetings, we cannot take the others, right? And so we had this ability to say, okay, we get on trains, we drive in cars, we go for a run, we go to the gym. How do we catch up on our meetings in a more meaningful way? So audio recap actually does that in a pretty interesting way. So I'm going to play this video for you real quick so you can understand what this means. We're going to need audio. We don't have audio. Can I get audio on this, please? Let's try that again. Yeah? No. All right. I'm not going to play around with this too much. Wait, what's happening? How do we feel? All right, now my clicker's not working either. Presentation glitch. All right, so what you would have missed or what you would have heard is a podcast-like recording of all the meetings that Martin missed. He can choose his style, whether it's in newscast style, whether it's in casual, executive style. It adapts to what you want to hear. It adapts to all the meetings. You can check off the meetings as you want. You can hear it without the audio, and then it'll play back in podcast. So you can actually consume this in a way that's much more natural for you to do. Oh, there we go.
Hi, Martin. Today is Monday, November 17th, 2025. We've got 3 meetings to cover. The first meeting is Ignite Partner Experience Know Before You Go, where the team walked through registration milestones, event logistics, security protocols, and partner session preparations for Ignite San Francisco.
You get the idea. This is a really cool feature because he picked 5 meetings that he wanted to hear the summary of, and it put a podcast for him. Martin likes to run 7 kilometers a day, and so I know that's what he's doing every single day. So that was kind of cool. I want to talk to you a little bit about a journey, and it's really funny because Jamie put on a very similar slide, and I was actually back there and just smiling to myself. And this is what I mean by our stories came together. Jamie put together a slide that talked a little bit about our history and our journey. And I've got a little bit more on it, and I want to talk to you about that. So we're all coming from a lot of us are coming from this space, right? Where we had analog and TDM telephony, and we used to have audio. Anybody remember dialing into a bridge and then putting in 9 or 10 numbers and a pound key and then a password? So that's where we're coming from, right? And then we moved to IP-based telephony, still had audio conferencing for meetings, and then somehow we found out how to do content sharing and video for meetings on a separate server. I used to be at Cisco when we bought a thing called Meeting Place, and then WebEx eventually. And then somewhere in the 2015s, we decided that all of that capability that we had on-prem, the servers that we built out, the MCUs, the meeting stuff, all had to go into the cloud. So we made this massive shift into the cloud, right? And so that was kind of our last transformation. And then, of course, COVID hit, and we did some remote work and hybrid work and so on. But now we're at the cusp of this next revolution, which is the AI transformation. And the reason I'm belaboring on this particular journey is because it's never been more important to consider where your communications and collaboration sits today. And the reason is because we are now going to be using AI to reason over all the signals that we receive from you as a user for your communications and collaboration. The emails you send, the documents you work on, the meetings you take, the phone calls you make, the chats you have. All of those are signals that are coming from you. So it's super important for you to think about telephony and your meetings in that same pane of glass so that Copilot can reason over it, AI can reason over it. So that when I ask it, hey, what's the latest with Jonathan today? It'll tell me everything that we've been working on, all emails that we've done, meetings we've had, and the communication that we've had as well. So it can tell me a full picture of things that need to be worked on, or the fact that Jonathan's sick for the next 2 weeks that he called me and told me about. These are super important things. It's more than important now than ever to consider where your communication sits. So when we think about Teams, when we think about Copilot, we have to think about how we unlock AI and how we bring all of that reasoning together with teams across all our communication modalities, including phone. I said I'm not going to talk about all of the features, all of the capabilities, but please know that our direction, our vision, is to bring more and more AI capabilities to Teams as a communications and collaboration platform. Here are some examples of what that's going to translate to, and of course, there's several others. These are just 10 very pretty boxes, but you should definitely look into all of our AI capabilities that we're bringing into Teams. Once we think about the overall AI value proposition, we should then start to think about agents. And the agentic AI future is actually really, really compelling. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We have started to talk about first-party agents that we are building, Microsoft is building, to be a part of Teams, to help you across that journey. Jamie talked about some AI capabilities that they're building as well in Zoom. I think that's going to be the future, right? The agentic AI is going to be the future. If you can see some examples, the facilitator agent, interpreter agent, I talked about this a couple of Cavell enables ago, where we're going to be able to do real-time live translations, which is super powerful capability while we're talking on the phone, to be able to translate from dozens of languages into the language that you want to prefer to listen to, breaking down those barriers. Lots of really great stuff that we're building as first-party Microsoft, right? And it's time to start to think about Teams as a lot more than what we use it today. So we already know that Teams is amazing across all of our internal capabilities, chat, collab, meetings, rooms, Q's app, all of that stuff. We also know that Teams is pretty good with our external capabilities, federated chat, business-to-business calling, federated calling, collaboration with our guests and external users. That's pretty cool. We need to start thinking about Teams when it comes to B2C as well. We need to start thinking about integrating click-to-call and click-to-chat in customer websites and mobile apps, and what that means from a multimodal communication perspective. We need to start thinking about contact center, integration into Teams, native integrations with something called Teams Phone Extensibility that we just launched, which extends things like Dynamics Contact Center and third-party contact center integrations into Teams as well. So with this, we complete the picture when we think about AI surrounding all of this capability and all the different use cases that it lights up. I'm going to talk about service for a second. When we think about AI, nothing is being transformed more than the service industry. When we think about AI, the first use cases that come to our mind are customer service agents or some sort of customer service capability. And this is really, really important. When we think about how the contact center is going to evolve. I don't know if you have heard yet or not, but we have a contact center capability out of our Dynamics organization that's very, very powerful. A lot of people ask me, hey, okay, it's part of the Dynamics suite. It's a standalone contact center that integrates with your existing CRM systems, telephony systems, but also integrates very well with Teams, obviously. We've kind of had the privilege to be building out this contact center in the age of AI. So that's actually pretty cool. It's an AI-first native contact center capability. I'm not going to talk too much detail about this, but I wanted to let you know that when we complete this picture with Teams, we can now think about contact center capabilities as well across all the channels where our customers are at, right? When we think about multimodal communications, customers don't want to be calling in. They want to be using text. They want to be using email. They want to be using the channel of their choice. So we want to be able to enable that multimodal communication in our contact center capability. And why is this important for you? Because we want and need you to come along. We want you to be the voice for customer contact. Dynamics Contact Center is automatically enabled for Operator Connect and for direct routing, for those of you who are not OC partners, to be able to bring that voice capability into the contact center, to be able to leverage the bridge that you already have and the service that you already have for Teams straight into that contact center. So this is why it's super important for you to start to think about it, to incorporate that into your offerings, and lead with a complete solution with Teams for the customers who need it. Copilot is an extremely, extremely important part of the value proposition as you talk to customers. When you think about what the value proposition looks like for phone, meetings, Teams rooms, Teams overall, and how it multiplies when you add Copilot into it, the AI integration, the capabilities it then adds, the value-added opportunities that you now have to be able to bring those managed services to your customers, the stack increases. The value of the stack increases, the customer interest increases, because now you're talking to a more BDM audience. So this is a very important thing for you to also align with as well. I said I'm going to talk a little bit about agents. I'm going to power through this a little bit quicker. This is the this is the time to start thinking about building conversational AI. I mentioned to you that if there are going to be some first-party agents that we're going to be building as Microsoft, we're only going to be scratching the surface. We need to start thinking about building agents to help solve customer needs, to integrate into customer line of business applications, to start to think about all of these capabilities and how agents, voice AI agents, are going to lead this charge to bring the voice into the future, as Jamie was mentioning as well. In order to help you do this, we're streamlining a bunch of different things. If you've ever thought about building a capability and you've said that our tools are too complicated, we're sort of really streamlining all of this into a Teams SDK that integrates into Copilot Studio and makes all of this building super, super easy. Copilot Studio has all the libraries for Azure AI Cognitive Speech and for all the agentic capabilities that you want to build to be able to bring your agents to life, to integrate them into Teams, to bring your voice network into those agents and be able to deliver that capability. So that's the super important piece, right? Bring your voice network, integrate it with agents and with Teams and Dynamics AI Contact Center to tell that entire story. It's never been easier than this. I know that when people hear build, they hear months of deployment, and they hear lots of people needed. But that's not the case anymore. With low code and no code capabilities built into these tools, it's super easy. And now I'm coming to this, that I titled my presentation as The Future is Calling. And the reason is because I was thinking about this, and we've kind of been dealing with archaic ways to interact with technology. The mouse, the keyboard, the finger, all of these are not natural. Voice is the most natural way to interact with technology. It's the first thing we learn as human beings. And that's why the proliferation of AI is so important right now, because the large language models understand us in natural language. It's much easier to talk to something versus to even type out something. And that is what is at the forefront of how we can bring your core services, voice in particular, to this new revolution of AI. And that is the message that I want to leave you here with today. Whether it's through agents that you build or delivery of those services into AI, that's going to be the key thing that drives your companies forward and more success for us combined. So this is very, very critical and why I want to leave you with this particular message. And why should you do this with Microsoft? Because we provide you an ecosystem, all the way down to the fabric, from a foundational perspective with Azure, up to the stack, to the agents, the application layer with Copilot. You have the tools to be able to do all of this, to bring to your customers something they've never seen before, but I guarantee that it'll transform their business. So that's what I want to leave you with as well. Lots of opportunities with our customers to unlock all the AI opportunities across phone, across rooms, across premium, and places. So I'll end with a note that I appreciated the dig that Jamie made on Zoom Phone with Teams Phone. I will say that Teams Phone is doing a pretty good job of zooming into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Taimoor.